Security pulled Black CEO off plane. Then she pulled $4 billion in funding from the airline. What happens when airline staff try to forcibly remove a Black CEO from her first-class seat just before a crucial $4 billion meeting? She refuses to back down. But the truly shocking twist is uncovering evidence that the discrimination she faced was hiding dangerous safety issues and financial fraud within the airline she was about to fund. Subscribe, like, and listen now to hear how she pulls way more than just her funding. Ma'am, I need you to come with us. Now, the security officer's voice was flat, impersonal, but his grip on Jessica Harper's arm was painfully tight. The other guard mirrored his stance on her other side, effectively pinning her in the plush leather confines of seat 1A. Jessica kept her own voice level, a feat of immense control. On what grounds? I'm a ticketed passenger in my assigned seat. The murmurings in the first-class cabin grew louder, a mixture of confusion, annoyance at the delay, and the uncomfortable shifting of people trying not to stare, yet staring anyway. The flight attendant, Olivia, stood watching from the aisle, arms crossed, a look of thin-lipped satisfaction on her face. She had instigated this, escalating from skeptical questioning of Jessica's boarding pass to outright refusal to verify the seat assignment, culminating in this summons of airport security for alleged noncompliance. We need to verify your passenger status off the aircraft, the first guard repeated, applying more pressure. His knuckles were white. Verify it here, Jessica countered, acutely aware of the dozens of eyes on her, the humiliation coiling in her stomach. My identification and boarding pass are readily available. There is no reason for me to leave my seat. Don't make this difficult, ma'am, the second guard warned, his tone carrying a veiled threat. We can do this easy, or we can do this hard. Easy or hard? For complying with procedure? For being a Black woman sitting in seat 1A? The implication hung heavy and foul in the recycled cabin air. Jessica saw the flash of cell phone cameras capturing the scene. She saw Olivia's smirk. She felt the pressure on her arms, the beginning of an attempt to physically lever her out of the seat. This wasn't just a mistake. It was an escalation, a public stripping of dignity. Her mind raced, calculating, analyzing, even as indignation burned hot within her. How could this be happening? And what, exactly, did they expect her to do next? Before the degrading friction of the airplane's seat armrest digging into her side under the guard's pressure, Jessica Harper commanded spaces far more imposing than a first-class cabin. At 40, she was the founder and CEO of Harper Ventures, a multi-billion-dollar venture capital firm headquartered in Atlanta with a formidable reputation for identifying and scaling disruptive technologies. Jessica was known for her incisive intellect, rigorous due diligence, and unwavering composure in high-stakes negotiations. She had built her firm from the ground up, navigating the often homogeneous, male-dominated world of venture capital with tenacity and brilliance, becoming one of the most respected figures in the industry. Her life was a carefully orchestrated symphony of board meetings, international travel, keynote speeches, and billion-dollar decisions. She lived in a sleek Atlanta penthouse, her personal life disciplined and private, managed with the same efficiency she applied to her portfolio companies. Her success afforded her every luxury, but she valued substance over flash, bespoke suits, minimalist art, quiet philanthropy focused on STEM education for underserved youth. Her closest confidant was Clara Tate, Harper Ventures' sharp, loyal general counsel, who handled the intricate legal framework underpinning their global investments. The SkyVista Airlines deal was significant, even by Harper Ventures standards. The legacy airline, struggling with debt and outdated infrastructure, was seeking a massive capital infusion and strategic partnership to fund a crucial merger and technological overhaul. Harper Ventures was poised to lead a $4 billion investment round, a deal Jessica had personally overseen for months. It required deep dives into Sky Vista's financials, operations, management structure, and future viability. The final piece was this trip to New York for a face-to-face meeting with the merger partners and Sky Vista's executive team, ostensibly to finalize terms. Jessica always insisted on experiencing a company's customer service firsthand before committing capital, a detail perhaps unknown to Sky Vista's operational staff. The world Jessica inhabited was one of immense power and privilege, but also one where she remained acutely aware of the subtle and overt ways race and gender could intersect with assumptions about competence and belonging. She had faced her share of microaggressions in boardrooms, condescending remarks from older executives, moments where she had to work twice as hard to be taken half as seriously. But she had always navigated these with strategic grace, letting her results speak for themselves. The raw, aggressive prejudice embodied by flight attendant Olivia Crane, however, felt like a throwback, a blatant disregard for the status and power Jessica had fought so hard to achieve. It suggested something was deeply wrong within the culture of Sky Vista, an airline desperately seeking her firm's validation and capital. The incident began subtly, almost predictably to anyone familiar with the insidious nature of flying while black. Jessica boarded Sky Vista Flight 812 from Atlanta to JFK, found her assigned seat, 1A, stowed her carry-on, and settled in, preparing to review her notes for the upcoming New York meeting. Flight attendant Olivia Crane approached, her smile tight, her eyes scanning Jessica with an appraisal that felt less like welcoming service and more like skeptical scrutiny. "Boarding pass, please," she requested, her tone lacking warmth. Jessica produced her pass. Olivia glanced at it, then back at Jessica, then at the seat number. 1A, she murmured, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "There might be a mistake. Let me check my manifest." She tapped aggressively at her tablet, frowning. "It seems unlikely. People like you," she added, her voice dropping slightly but dripping with insinuation, "aren't usually booked in this seat." Jessica felt a familiar weariness mix with rising indignation. "There's no mistake, Olivia," she replied, keeping her voice calm but firm, noting the attendant's name badge. "This seat is assigned to me. Perhaps you could verify with the gate agent if your system shows an error." Olivia bristled at the polite correction. "I don't need to check with anyone. My system shows a potential conflict. You'll need to move." "I will not be moving from my assigned seat," Jessica stated calmly but unequivocally. "Please find your purser or supervisor if you believe there's a genuine issue." Instead of escalating through proper channels, Olivia took a different tack. "Ma'am, your tone is becoming disruptive. I'm going to have to ask you to calm down, or I'll need to call security." It was a classic deflection, painting the victim as the aggressor. "I am perfectly calm," Jessica replied. "I am simply asserting my right to occupy the seat I paid for. Please get your supervisor." Olivia, seeing her attempt at intimidation failing, bypassed the purser entirely and used her intercom to summon airport security directly to the aircraft, reporting a non-compliant passenger in 1A causing a disturbance. This summons, based on a manufactured conflict and racial bias, was the inciting incident. When the two security officers arrived, Olivia presented her version. Jessica was in the wrong seat, refusing to move, becoming belligerent. The officers, taking the flight attendant's word over the seated passengers without verification, immediately demanded Jessica leave the plane, leading into the hook scene. Jessica's initial reaction was a mixture of controlled fury and strategic assessment. This was egregious, unprofessional, and deeply discriminatory. Her immediate goal was twofold: document the incident thoroughly and stand her ground against unlawful removal. As the guard applied pressure, she clearly stated her name, her title, CEO of Harper Ventures, and her destination, a critical meeting regarding SkyVista, warning them they were making a significant error with serious professional consequences. She also discreetly activated the voice recorder app on her phone. She noted the names on the officers' badges and Olivia's. When a male passenger nearby loudly questioned why they weren't checking the ticket and suggested racial bias, Olivia snapped back about security protocols, digging herself deeper. The situation was escalating, rapidly becoming a public spectacle, exactly as Olivia likely intended, hoping to bully Jessica into compliance through humiliation. Jessica knew she had to manage this carefully, protecting her rights while gathering evidence of the misconduct. The standoff in seat 1A intensified. Jessica refused to be physically forced out, repeating calmly but firmly, "I am legally ticketed for this seat. Removing me would constitute assault." The presence of multiple passengers now openly recording the incident on their phones seemed to make the security officers hesitate slightly. They were likely trained to de-escalate, but Olivia kept insisting Jessica was being disruptive and non-compliant. Finally, the flight's captain emerged from the cockpit, alerted to the delay and commotion. After a brief, hushed conversation with Olivia and the security lead, the captain approached Jessica. His tone was more professional but still firm. "Ma'am, I understand there's a seating issue. To ensure an on-time departure, I need you to deplane so we can resolve this with the gate agent." Jessica saw the implicit bias. Resolve the issue by removing her, not by verifying her ticket or questioning Olivia's actions. However, arguing further on the plane risked being labeled disruptive, potentially giving them grounds for actual removal or even arrest. She made a calculated decision. "Captain," she said clearly, ensuring nearby passengers could hear, "I will agree to deplane under protest to speak with the gate supervisor on the condition that these officers release me immediately and that their names, along with flight attendant Olivia Crane's, are formally recorded. I am Jessica Harper, CEO of Harper Ventures, traveling to New York for a final meeting regarding a multi-billion-dollar investment in this airline, and this treatment is unacceptable." The captain, perhaps realizing the potential fallout, nodded curtly. The guards released her arm. Jessica gathered her spilled papers and belongings with deliberate composure, ignoring Olivia's triumphant smirk, and walked off the plane, followed by the security detail. At the gate, the supervisor, flustered by the growing crowd and online buzz, #SkyVista Racism was indeed taking off, offered platitudes and a standard apology for the confusion. He confirmed Jessica's ticket was valid and seat 1A was hers, blaming a momentary system glitch. He offered a flight voucher and assured her Olivia would be spoken to. Jessica wasn't placated. A voucher doesn't address assault, defamation, and blatant racial discrimination, Mr. Henderson, she stated coolly, reading his name badge. "This isn't confusion, it's systemic failure. I require a formal investigation and written report." Complication 1. Henderson became defensive, towing the company line, minimizing Olivia's actions. It was clear SkyVista's default mode was damage control, not accountability. Complication 2. Jessica received a message from Clara Tate. Clara, monitoring the situation, had already started preliminary checks based on Jessica's call from the plane. She found chatter on employee review sites mentioning SkyVista CEO Victor Langley fostering a cut costs at all corners, culture, and rumors of unusually high flight attendant turnover and pushback maintenance schedules. Complication 3. A SkyVista corporate PR representative arrived, attempting to whisk Jessica away to a private lounge, clearly trying to silence her and control the optics. Jessica refused to be silenced. Seeing the gathering reporters, she realized this incident, however humiliating, presented an opportunity. She excused herself from the evasive gate supervisor and the slick PR rep. Standing tall amidst the onlookers, she began a live video stream on her own professional social media account, her voice calm but powerful. "This is Jessica Harper, CEO of Harper Ventures. I was just subjected to discriminatory treatment and attempted forced removal from SkyVista Flight 812. She recounted the events clearly, factually. Her goal was shifting. This wasn't just about Olivia Crane anymore. It was about SkyVista's culture, its leadership, and potentially its operational integrity, issues directly impacting her $4 billion decision. She ended the stream by stating Harper Ventures would be re-evaluating its potential investment pending a thorough investigation into SkyVista's practices. The battleground had moved from the airplane seat to the public square, and Jessica was leveraging her considerable influence. Jessica's impromptu live stream instantly amplified the situation. Major news outlets picked up the story, contrasting the viral passenger videos with Jessica's composed, professional account. The hashtag exploded globally. SkyVista's stock price began to wobble in pre-market trading. The $4 billion deal, previously discussed only in financial circles, was now public knowledge, inextricably linked to the unfolding discrimination scandal. Back in New York, Clara Tate and her team worked at lightning speed, spurred by Jessica's public statement and the urgency of the situation. They dove deep into SkyVista's records, utilizing every legal tool available for investor due diligence, demanding access to internal audits, safety reports, FAA filings, and customer complaint logs as part of the ongoing merger consideration. What they found was deeply disturbing, confirming the initial red flags. Clara discovered a consistent pattern over the past 2 years, coinciding with Victor Langley's tenure as CEO. Systemic complaint suppression, a significant number of discrimination complaints, particularly from Black passengers, were systematically downgraded, dismissed, or settled with minimal payouts and strict non-disclosure agreements. Olivia Crane's name appeared frequently, often with only verbal reprimands despite repeated incidents. Financial diversion. Funds specifically earmarked in budgets and investor reports for critical engine overhauls and avionics upgrades have been consistently reallocated to cover operational shortfalls or executive bonuses under Langley's directives. Maintenance logs showed deferred schedules and use of non-certified parts sourced cheaply. Safety concerns ignored. Internal reports from SkyVista's own safety officers raising concerns about deferred maintenance and potential risks have been repeatedly ignored or actively suppressed by Langley's office. Clara compiled this evidence into a damning preliminary report, encrypting it and sending it securely to Jessica's tablet at the Atlanta airport gate. As Jessica reviewed the data, the suppressed complaints, the diverted funds, the ignored safety warnings, the pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. This was the turning point. The incident on the plane wasn't just racism. It was likely a symptom of a deeply rotten corporate culture under Victor Langley, potentially driven by a desperate need to cut costs and hide operational deficiencies from investors like herself. The targeting of passengers, especially minorities often perceived as less likely to have powerful recourse, might have been an unofficial tactic to manage dissent or avoid scrutiny during boarding or flight if issues arose. Langley wasn't just fostering a discriminatory environment. He was potentially endangering passengers by siphoning safety funds. The $4 billion investment wasn't just unwise. It was unthinkable. Jessica felt a cold fury solidify within her. Langley wasn't just risking her firm's capital. He was risking lives. Her goal shifted instantly and irrevocably. This was no longer about reevaluating the deal. It was about killing it, exposing Langley, and ensuring regulatory bodies investigated SkyVista thoroughly. Her personal humiliation paled in comparison to the potential public safety disaster Langley's actions represented. Point of no return. Jessica knew pulling the funding would cause market chaos and hurt innocent employees, but the ethical and safety breaches were too severe to ignore. She instructed Clara to finalize the evidence package for regulators and prepare a formal withdrawal statement for Harper Ventures. She then saw Victor Langley approaching through the crowd, his face a mask of strained contrition. The final confrontation was imminent, but Jessica was now armed with devastating truth. Victor Langley approached Jessica at the gate, a phalanx of PR staff trailing nervously behind him. Microphones and cameras pushed forward. Langley adopted his most sincere expression. MS. Harper, on behalf of SkyVista, I am appalled by what occurred. Please accept my deepest apologies. The employee responsible has been suspended pending termination. This is not who we are. He gestured towards a waiting golf cart. Please, allow me to escort you to a private lounge where we can discuss this properly. We can have a private jet ready to ensure you reach New York with minimal further delay. His offer was slick, designed to isolate her, control the narrative, and salvage the deal. Jessica met his gaze coolly. Mr. Langley, discussing this properly requires transparency, not a private lounge. Your airline didn't just subject me to discrimination. It potentially exposed me and every other passenger to unacceptable risks. Langley's eyes hardened slightly, the facade cracking. That's a baseless accusation. MS. Harper, SkyVista adheres to the highest safety standards. Does it? Jessica countered, holding up her tablet, displaying a graph Clara had sent. A chart showing the correlation between budget cuts to maintenance under Langley and an increase in minor incident reports filed with the FAA. Because my firm's due diligence, accelerated by today's events, suggests otherwise. It suggests funds allocated for safety were diverted elsewhere under your leadership. The nearby reporters surged forward, sensing a bigger story. Langley looked trapped, his PR team whispering urgently in his ear. He tried to regain control. MS. Harper is understandably upset, he announced to the cameras. We take her concerns seriously and will investigate thoroughly. SkyVista remains committed to safety and to finalizing our promising partnership with Harper Ventures. Jessica knew she couldn't allow him to spin this. She needed to deliver the final blow publicly. She signaled Clara via text, prepare to transmit. She also sent a quick, encrypted message to her own PR team, stand by for major announcement. She addressed Langley again, her voice ringing through the now silent gate area. Mr. Langley, the time for investigation is over. The time for partnership is over. Harper Ventures prides itself on investing in companies with integrity, ethical leadership, and an unwavering commitment to safety. Based on my personal experience today, corroborated by a pattern of suppressed complaints, and further confirmed by deeply troubling findings regarding your operational and financial management, SkyVista, under your leadership, fails to meet those standards. Langley started to interrupt, but Jessica raised her voice slightly, commanding attention. Therefore, I'm announcing now. She paused, letting the anticipation build, knowing her next words would send shockwaves through the financial world and the aviation industry. She felt the weight of the decision, the livelihoods potentially affected, but the image of neglected safety protocols, the memory of Olivia Crane's sneer, the pattern of dismissal faced by other minority passengers. It all affirmed the necessity of this action. She took a breath, ready to pull the plug. That Harper Ventures is immediately and irrevocably withdrawing its $4 billion funding commitment and terminating all merger discussions with SkyVista Airlines. The words hung in the air, followed by an explosion of noise, gasps from onlookers, frantic shouting from reporters, the furious sputtering of Victor Langley. "You can't do that." The board approved. "Contracts are pending." Langley lunged forward slightly, stopped by his own anxious PR handler. "Contracts contingent on due diligence, Mr. Langley," Jessica stated calmly, holding her ground. "Due diligence which, thanks to the actions of your staff today, revealed unacceptable risks and ethical failures. Consider the deal terminated due to gross negligence and potential endangerment originating from your executive office." This public declaration was the point of no return, executed decisively. Langley looked apoplectic, his carefully crafted image shattering under the glare of news cameras. He knew the consequences: stock collapse, board revolt, likely termination. Jessica wasn't finished. "Furthermore," she announced, "my general counsel, Clara Tate, is, as we speak, transmitting our preliminary findings regarding SkyVista's pattern of discrimination, financial irregularities, and potential safety compromises to the Federal Aviation Administration, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Department of Transportation. We urge them to launch immediate, comprehensive investigations." On cue, Clara confirmed via secure message, transmitted. The finality of Jessica's actions, coupled with the immediate regulatory threat, sent waves of panic through the SkyVista personnel present. The gate supervisor looked faint. The PR representative stared blankly. Olivia Crane, who had been lurking at the edge of the crowd, turned and tried to discreetly push her way through the onlookers towards an exit, likely hoping to disappear before investigators arrived. Victor Langley, realizing he was ruined, seemed to snap. His face contorted with rage. You bitch," he spat at Jessica, abandoning all pretense of executive decorum. "You think you can destroy me? My airline." He took another menacing step towards her. The final test. This was the moment of potential physical escalation. Would Langley lose complete control? Before he could advance further, airport security, different officers this time, alerted by the commotion and perhaps by Jessica's team, stepped firmly between him and Jessica. Simultaneously, passengers who had witnessed the initial incident and now understood the stakes formed a protective semicircle around Jessica, shouting down Langley's invective. Jessica stood her ground, unflinching, meeting Langley's hateful glare with unwavering resolve. She had faced down corporate titans in boardrooms. She wouldn't be intimidated by a desperate, exposed bully in an airport terminal. The final test wasn't enduring his rage, but demonstrating that his power, built on deceit and discrimination, was ultimately illusory against principled action and undeniable truth. The climax wasn't a physical confrontation, but the public implosion of Langley's authority under the weight of Jessica's calculated, evidence-backed counteroffensive. The climax unfolded swiftly in the chaotic aftermath of Jessica's announcement. As Victor Langley raged, restrained by airport security, news alerts flashed across phones throughout the gate area. SkyVista stock plunges on Harper Ventures funding withdrawal, allegations of fraud. The financial repercussions were immediate and brutal. Simultaneously, airport police, Alerted by airport security about Langley's aggressive behavior and potentially by pre-brief federal contacts receiving Clara's evidence package, arrived in force. They conferred quickly with the security officers restraining Langley and reviewed information likely relayed from regulators who had received Clara's urgent transmission. While charges related to the complex financial and safety issues would require investigation, Langley's public threats and disorderly conduct, combined with the now formal complaints filed by Jessica regarding the initial incident and Sky Vista's documented history, gave them grounds. Mr. Langley, a police sergeant announced clearly, "You're creating a public disturbance and potential witnesses have reported threats. You need to come with us." Langley, sputtering incoherently about lawsuits and ruined careers, was firmly escorted away by police, his departure captured by dozens of flashing cameras, a humiliating exit for the once powerful CO. Meanwhile, airport authorities, acting on information likely included in Clara's package or flagged by security, located and detained Olivia Crane before she could leave the airport premises. She was suspended immediately by the airline, now under emergency interim management contacted by the board, pending investigation into the discrimination and assault allegations. The security officers involved in the initial incident were also identified and sidelined. The swift, public consequences sent a clear message. Jessica watched the scene unfold, not with triumph, but with a somber sense of necessary justice. She had used her power not just to defend herself, but to force accountability within a system that had failed. The fallout for Sky Vista was catastrophic, but ultimately cleansing. The federal investigations substantiated Clara's findings, revealing widespread financial mismanagement under Langley and critical safety lapses. Langley faced multiple federal indictments related to fraud and potentially endangering public safety, leading to a significant prison sentence. Olivia Crane faced civil suits and potential charges, her career over. The airline, forced into a painful restructuring under strict regulatory oversight, emerged leaner, with new leadership committed to transparency, safety, and implementing robust anti-discrimination policies and training programs co-developed with external experts, including consultants recommended by Jessica's new foundation. Jessica Harper became an unintentional icon, lauded for her courage and ethical leadership. Harper Ventures solidified its reputation for rigorous due diligence and principled investing. While the $4 billion deal was dead, Jessica strategically reinvested portions of that capital into innovative transportation startups focused on safety, sustainability, and equitable access. True to her word, she established the Harper Alliance for Equity in Travel. The foundation worked with airlines, airports, and regulatory bodies to develop effective anti-bias training, create independent passenger advocacy channels, and fund research into equitable technology and infrastructure in the travel sector. Clara Tate took a leading role on its advisory board. Jessica received countless messages of support, including heartfelt letters from other passengers on Flight 812 and individuals who had faced similar discrimination without the power to fight back effectively. The man who had initially spoken up for her on the plane reached out, thanking her for giving a voice to the ignored. Months later, Jessica stood looking out the window of her Atlanta office. The skyline glittered, a testament to ambition and innovation. The Sky Vista incident had been a jarring reminder of the ugliness that could hide beneath polished surfaces, but it had also reaffirmed her conviction. Power, she reflected, wasn't just about building empires or closing deals. It was about having the courage to dismantle systems that protect injustice, even at significant cost. She had been pulled off a plane, targeted because of who she was. But in response, She hadn't just reclaimed her dignity. She had forced an entire industry to confront its failings, using her platform to demand better, ensuring that while she might fly high, she was also committed to lifting others with her.